Welcome back to the Expat Equation. I'm Bianca.
And I'm Julian.
We reached the end of season 1, so we thought we would talk about what we've learned so far. When we started this podcast, our intention wasn't to collect success stories. It was to understand what really happens when someone takes their career across borders.
And what surprised us very early on is how different every journey is. There's no single path, no universal formula, even when people move to the same country. But there are common themes.
And the themes we uncovered are emotional impact of moving abroad, having a growth mindset helps, belonging and feeling confident can be challenging, experience gets lost in translation, and what to do about it.
And we also talked about how HR and hiring managers are key to solving these challenges. International people can actually help companies scale internationally, and superpowers and what it means for you. One thing that came up again and again was how emotionally demanding moving abroad can be, especially during job searches.
Yes, and one story that really stayed with me was Vidi's. She talked very openly about applying to over 200 roles after moving to Norway. And instead of letting the rejection break her down, she reframed it.
And, for a person who is financially independent, to go and say, oh, now I depend on someone else's income, that's not happening. Just mentally in my head, that was not possible. And it wasn't, there were moments where I felt like, I just break down and cry. I'm like, this is too much.
And if we're all being honest about such a huge transition, it can take time. I like what our first guest, Paul Harrison, said.
I guess at the start, I had a little bit of outsider or imposter syndrome. It does take time to adjust and to let your personality shine through. I think you have to give yourself some time to let that happen. It's okay if it doesn't happen in the first week. Be patient and let your personality, come out.
Both guests talked about how tough moving abroad can be, because it can take time. But once you are somewhere new, they both talked about a shift in mindset, how you deal with the challenges and setbacks. And then you realize that they don't define you.
And this theme of identity reoccurred throughout Series 1. All our guests, at one point or another, had to let go of this fixed idea of who they thought they were professionally. And part of moving abroad seems to encourage a more flexible growth mentality, as the author Carol Dweck would call it.
I think Patricia articulated this beautifully when she talked about flexibility as part of her skill set that has helped her career in many ways.
Because I have this double identity, Swedish Latin, and I can choose and shapeshift because I don't look necessarily physically from anywhere, has given me the chance of putting maybe the face on that I need for the moment, right?
I really think Patricia stands out as someone that truly celebrates the advantages of multicultural experiences. I'm going to refer to Patricia again. She's a great headhunter here in Oslo, and her experience has given her a much better insight than most when navigating the needs between the candidates and the hiring managers of her clients, of being able to see things in different ways, something I think more expats should lean into. As an experienced HR professional, Bianca, you've mentioned this before.
Yes, this is really a strength. Across my HR leadership career and through my consultancy candidate aid, what I noticed is how those non-linear paths later become strengths. Helping people realize that these strengths can be a real benefit to businesses and professionals is very important. But this also ties into a broader challenge on how difficult it is for internationals to rebuild confidence or feel that they belong after they moved.
Alison, our second guest, captured that feeling so honestly when she said,
I think belonging for me now is not about a specific location. It's about the people I meet along my journey.
That shift of what belonging means, in my opinion, is a form of culture shock that isn't talked about enough. You're trying to fit in, you're trying to understand the working culture of the new company. Also, the national characteristics affect how people work together, which are often unwritten. I know you have experience with this, Julian.
Yes, I thought the working culture here in the UK would be identical. I was headhunted to join a startup here and lead global sales. I successfully helped secure a $15 million Series A, but I failed in understanding the cultural nuances that shape the workplace here. And there was nothing out there to help me. And this is the motivations behind my company, Culture Flow, in helping international teams understand each other and work better together. For me, from personal experience and through the work that we both do, we know that career successes and achievements don't translate cleanly across borders.
Luciana, our fourth guest, reflected on this when she talked about adjusting expectations when applying for work before moving.
It took, I would say, since I started applying until I found a job, it took 10 months.
For whoever is struggling to find a job in Norway, I can assure you the task is complicated.
And also that success and achievements are measured differently in different countries. A simple example of this is LinkedIn. If you treat your LinkedIn profile or CV as a static document and don't adjust for the cultural expectations, it doesn't matter that you tailored it for the role.
Kim, the last guest in season 1, talked about this, where she mentioned that,
You know, how in the UK, you know that your CV is 1 to 2 pages, no date of birth, no address, no photo. It is bullet points. Here's the rough standard. So if you move to the country, or if you're starting your career for the first time or reintroducing yourself into the workplace, you know what you're expected to do. Whereas here, there is no set standard.
also, Vidi mentioned the necessity of being open to different roles and levels of seniority. What in Norway is being called a potato.
Yes, she gave some great advice on adjusting what career success means, because even her background, having worked at L'Oreal, it didn't make it easy for her to land a role here, in the same type and size of company. This professional adjustment in what you think your career path should be versus what it needs is a difficult step for ambitious, high-potential people to go through. So she had to focus on smaller, higher-growth startups that were hiring and looking for international experience.
From the hiring perspective, one thing that came through clearly is that biases while hiring are rarely intentional. They do exist and are very subtle. I wish the HR managers and hiring managers were more aware of this, because the candidates notice it. Vidi mentioned that she was aware of this bias happening.
What I wish people would do differently is, if you're hiring someone, there's this, debate between culture add versus culture fit. Sometimes it's easy to default to your own connections. It's easy to default to people who are like you, who know you.
I agree. These signals are very subtle. And the biases, they don't show up in the job ads, but during the interviews, in small reactions and assumptions about how someone should communicate or behave. Jusha talked about a particular success story when helping candidates and hiring managers navigate these biases and assumptions, to the point where a hiring manager realized what he was doing, re-interviewed, and then rehired the candidates that he'd originally rejected.
That's such an important reminder that hiring people from different countries isn't as challenging as it's made out to be. Just be aware, and if you need support, ask for it. Just before we sum up, one core theme coming from all the guests was, please don't hire international just to make you feel good. That won't ever benefit anyone in the long run. But think about it as a strategic benefit. Kim put it very simply, but all our guests mentioned this.
Especially if you are looking to scale outside of Norway, please hire people from those cultures, languages, countries that you want to go to.
So if a company wants to work globally, it needs people who already think globally. That perspective doesn't come from books, it comes from lived experience.
And Vidi said the same thing for high-growth companies of any kind.
I genuinely believe that Norway should be your test market, but not your end market. Why don't you start by thinking international and thinking how you could really build global businesses out of Norway? And internationals would just naturally fit into that makeup.
It really was a great season 1. Thank you to all our guests, Paul, Alison, Luciana, Patricia, Vidi, and Kim, for sharing your stories. If there's one thing season 1 taught us, is that international careers are not all unicorns and rainbows.
The human side of working abroad can get messy and emotional. But by listening to our guest stories, we hope that you have found something to support you on your journey, or for a friend that needed support.
Before we go, I wanted to share what each of our guests mentioned when asked about their superpower, because it's important to realize that each guest had something in themselves that they believed in, it helped them, and it was different for each one of them. For Paul Harrison, it was the language skills. For Alison Barr was staying calm under pressure. For Patricia Varela was breathe comfort into uncomfortable situations. For Luciana Alegre was engaging with people. For Vidi Kumar was reading. And for Kim Hale was plan for and predict outcomes.
Knowing your superpower, having the right mindset, a community, and more awareness on the hiring side, it is possible to build a meaningful career across borders. And season 2 is coming soon, and we will continue having these incredible conversations.
We'll keep exploring international journeys, but also go deeper into how companies hire, onboard, and truly support international talent.
To everyone who listened, shared, reached out during season 1, thank you.
And to all our guests, thank you again for trusting us with your stories. This is the Expat Equation, exploring the human side of working abroad.